Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Our program will begin in just a couple of minutes. If you'll kindly take your seats, and please take a moment to silence your devices as a courtesy to our presenters and your fellow attendees. Thank you. Once again, everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight. If you'll kindly take your seats, our program is about to begin. Thank you. Please welcome to the stage your host for the evening, Mr. John Ralston.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to IndyFest. Make sure if you cheer for the special guest, it's a decibel lower than that, and you'll make me feel really good. So this is the kickoff of a two-day conference. I hope many of you are going to come back tomorrow when we're going to have a bunch of public policy panels and some exclusive polling and some great guests nationally and locally. As many of you know, we are about to celebrate our 8th birthday at the Indy. I can't... This has been the roller coaster ride of my life, but we started in January of 2017 on the eve of the legislature, and we're now the only statewide news organization in Nevada. And as I think many of you know, we've become the go-to place for government policy and campaign reporting and for in-depth pieces on critical issues facing the state. I could not be prouder, and for those of you who are going to be here tomorrow, of the talented staff. They are so hardworking. They have bought into the culture of in-depth news that is fair and transparent, and it's these reporters, and some of them are here tonight, who really make the Indy what it is. We have never been more robust financially, I'm happy to say. You should clap for that. But we're not yet sustainable. The nonprofit news business is a very difficult business, and so I hope for those of you who support us, thank you. For those of you who don't regularly, please, just a small monthly donation, or if you have a couple $1 million to spare, that's fine too, whatever you can do. But seriously, we couldn't survive without the thousands of donors that we have, and so thank you, because I think almost everybody in this room is a supporter of the Indy. So thanks to all of you for coming, and for those of you on Zoom, welcome as well. We have a whole bunch of people who bought virtual tickets. I think it must be for me and not for the special guests that we have here tonight. Before I bring him out, though, I want to thank our sponsors, and I'm happy to say it's our longest list ever for any Indy event. I'm going to read their names real. First of all, our hosts tonight, and what a remarkable venue this is, the almost brand new Durango Casino. Station Casinos is a sponsor. Agassi Foundation, the A's, NV Energy, Western States Petroleum, Nevada Mining Association, the Raiders, UFC, Pharma, the Castroverde Law Group, Martin Harris Construction, Southwest Gas, Roseman University, Gold Coast Promotions, Brownstein Law Firm, Nevada Realtors, Core Construction, Emergency Management Foundation, and the Gwynn Center. Let's have a round of applause for all of these sponsors. I know you're already sick of hearing me talk, so without further ado, I want to bring up our special guest, our headliner for IndyFest, actor, entrepreneur, and Las Vegas resident, Mark Wahlberg. Give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, guys.
I feel overdressed, Mark.
Sorry about that. The Yankees just lost an extra inning.
Oh, now that is good news.
Everybody's wondering.
Mark is, of course, a Red Sox fan, and maybe we will talk a little bit about sports, since I know, like me, you're a huge sports fan. So I want to start by talking to you about something that I think a lot of people here might be wondering about, and that's, why did you move here? Like, what was your thought process? Did it take several years to come to the conclusion that you wanted to leave, move to Nevada? What was it about Nevada?
Well, there was a number of factors. I think, first off, we realized that we had very steep odds to raise our children's success.
Hang on one second. I don't think his mic is working.
Check.
Am I
check.
wrong?
There you go. And we just knew that the odds. Check. Yeah. So I got a hold. Thank you. That's better. Can you hear me now? I just, we knew that raising children in LA was very problematic. And so my wife being from Florida, I gave her first option to move to Florida. We went down and kind of looked around in Florida, and she decided she wanted to be as close to what our old home was. And she really she just said I was comfortable with Nevada. And I had already had this kind of big picture plan to do lots of things here, but I did not want to force the issue, because if I did, that would make things complicated. So we agreed upon Nevada ourselves, and thank God we did.
So when you brought, had you and your wife come here on vacation to visit, anything like that? I mean, what closed the deal for you?
Well, coming to Summerlin, visiting Holy Spirit Church. There was many factors. Bishop Gorman. There was lots of things that we decided upon. But intuitively, we just felt like it was the right move. It was a place we could just get in our car, pack our stuff, and drive. We knew that we had a place which we knew we would be comfortable in the Summit. The Discovery property, we were friends with Mike Melbert for quite some time, and we knew it would be something that we could just go and then figure out what we were going to do after. As far as did we want to build another home? We had just bought a condo there, and we moved in. Put my house up for sale, and that was it.
I saw a couple of interviews you did about it. One of them, I think, was with the Hollywood Reporter, and you said it's a place where my kids can thrive and do their thing and pursue their interests. Have you found that to be true in the couple of years you've been here?
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
Absolutely. Well, my son now has pivoted from football and basketball to MMA, and he's. I called my dear friend Dana White. Next thing you know, he's got the best jiu-jitsu trainer. He's got the best Muay Thai trainer. My daughter, we just bought a barn about maybe 25 minutes from our house. We're boarding 25 other horses there, and she's got her horses. She's there painting her, doing her tack room over, and we're covering her barn, and it's all happening. It's all happening. It's been really exciting, and and for me, the thing is, I can just relax. I went to the clubhouse today. I just kind of sit there. I just relax, and people are very nice, but nobody bothers me.
They don't bother you?
Nah, nobody bothers me. I think I went to, my son had an appointment today. I took him to an appointment. I'm sitting in the office in the lobby. People kind of look, and they're like, no, it's not. Just keep walking by. But it's just, there's just, I don't know, the stress that I had living in California, where you think Vegas, you think, okay, super fast pace, lots of action. I mean, that's there, and it's great, but 15 minutes away is this really kind of beautiful, peaceful community that I've found to be my happy place.
Even more important, is your wife happy here?
She is. I mean, she's now figured out everything that she needs, shopping-wise, and everything that she likes to do. And, we're just, trying to get more active into the community, looking for other organizations to get involved with. I think as we get older, we realize, the most important thing for us is to live a purpose-filled life and to find out what that purpose is, and to go out there. And I think especially being a bigger part of the church, the community is the most important for us.
And so you were walking through your house with your wife one day, and she said, Mark, you should support the Nevada Independent and come in. Isn't that what happened? Isn't that kind of how it happened?
It's not what happened, but if it sounds better, we'll go with that. We can go with that plot line for sure.
What has surprised you the most about being in Vegas? I mean, you had a certain feeling about it before you moved here, that your kids were going to be able to thrive and you could relax. What has surprised you about Vegas? Are there things that you said, wow, I didn't know that? Or
well, again, there's just so much to do. There's so much to do. There's so much to see. I think every time I came, I would stay at a hotel. I would go to a fight. I would go to an event. I would go to a concert. I mean, we still do all those things. I went to more shows the first 6 months that I was here than I had in the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
I went to more Raiders games last year than I went to Patriots games over the last 10 years. It's just so much stuff to do. And then I literally went to Super Bowl. I drove 15 minutes from my house, pulled right into my parking spot, went upstairs, watched the game, came back, 15 minutes home, no traffic. I mean, to go anywhere, whether it be in Los Angeles or in Boston for that matter, it'd take you 2 hours in both directions.
Decent game, that Super Bowl, huh?
It was fun. When I don't have a team in the hunt, it's much better. No stress. I can enjoy. I actually don't lose my appetite. I don't have stress. I prefer that.
So you are, a lot of people know
But I'm
this.
still discovering more and more things as I spend time here. And even when making movies and going and scouting and how many different locations and the elements and it's an incredible place.
The summer haven't bothered you, the desert heat?
It gets a little toasty, but I do my stuff early. I'm an early bird. I get up in the morning. By the time I've worked out, played golf, I'm back at the house by 9 o'clock. Yeah. But look, I've felt that heat many times in California and in the Valley. So it happens everywhere. You got the humidity in Florida. But right now, I'd be hard pressed to find better weather anywhere in the country. Although tomorrow I think it's going to be 49 degrees in the morning, but I like that too. I like it a little brisk when I go into my ice bath. in my backyard.
Yeah, you do these cold plunges. That's insane. My wife does these, and she loves them. You do that's insane.
Smart woman. It's really good for you. It feels really good. It really does, especially with me with all the inflammation, the aches, pains, bumps, bruises from working. It's definitely the best way to start the day. I get up every day thinking, oh, God, I can't make it through the day, doing all the things that I want to do with my training and everything else. I have my coffee, I get in that bath, and I'm like, the endorphins are going, and the way that I feel, it lasts for hours.
I do the same thing, except for everything you said after having coffee. So yeah, some people probably know this, but you are a rabid sports fan. Have you been? You mentioned the Raiders. You went to a lot of Raiders games. You gotten into the Knights. We talked a little bit about the Aces. You become an Aces fan.
Yeah, I got into a bit of trouble when I went to the Knights game last year when they were playing the Stars, because my friend's son played for the Stars, and it was actually, well, now it's 2 years now because he's been with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But, of course, I'm enjoying the game. Next thing you know, they're like, hey, you got to, do the horn. And I'm like, okay. And then all the Dallas Stars think I'm there to support them. I'm basically there just supporting everybody, I'm really a Bruins fan, and I get more crap from the Bruins fans in Boston sports radio than anybody else. But, the thing that was most exciting and I think most memorable was my first WNBA game, going to the Aces game in the first game of the finals. It was incredible. I was blown away by the energy, the excitement in the arena, the level of talent and play. It was just really, really impressive, and I can't wait to see the league continue to grow. And look, now with the potential of baseball and certainly basketball, I mean, it's all happening right here. This is now becoming the mecca for entertainment, and hopefully it will also become the mecca for film and entertainment.
We're going to get to that in a second, but I have to ask you this.
Not trying to lead the
No,
interview,
I know. I understand
saying,
that. I understand that. We're laid back tonight. You are a hoops fanatic. You're a Celtics fan, right? Yes. So I got to do this tangent, and I apologize for this to everybody. Greatest Celtic of all time.
Oh, Bill Russell.
You're wrong. It's Larry Bird.
Larry Bird is pretty darn good, but Larry Bird doesn't have 11 rings.
Now, I knew we'd go with the 11 rings thing, but Bird, come on. Don't you think?
Bird's amazing. I mean, one of the greats of all time. I mean, certainly in that era. But no, Bill Russell.
You're going with all the rings and all that.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta. I mean, I don't think anybody. If you're gonna have that conversation and one of the greats of all time, both on and off the court, you got to give it to Bill Russell.
Yeah. I just had to talk about Larry Bird. He's my favorite player of all time.
That's the other thing. I mean, I have all my sports memorabilia, that especially old Boston sports memorabilia, that I'm dying to get on the walls. But my wife is like, you can't put that in the kitchen. So we got to finish building our home.
So let's talk about this. My mic go up?
You're back on.
Hollywood 2.0, Hollywood East. What's the gestation of this idea? When did it start? How did you start? Were you still in LA when you started thinking about it? How did the idea come about?
Well, no. When I got here, I realized, I had, like I said, I've been here many times. I knew some people that worked here. I was going to shoot a movie, and when we decided to move, I was like, well, why do we need to shoot the movie in Los Angeles? I mean, there's many movies that have been shot in Los Angeles, and I think Vegas is much more interesting and different and fresh, and lots of change since you've seen it in some of the more memorable films. And I just thought it would make for a better backdrop and a more interesting story point going from Buffalo on the Run and we're talking about the movie Family Plan, the first film that I shot here. And so I just kind of pressed them and said, hey, I want to shoot the movie. I want to relocate the ending of the film to Vegas. And they were like, cool. And then I realized, wow, when I got here, how many wonderfully talented people there were, both in front of and behind the camera. And so that was the first film that we shot here. And then we realized, yes, I mean, there is so much opportunity here, and I think people would gravitate towards not only coming here to work, but also I think to live full time because of the quality of life factor that I've experienced and I've shared with all of my colleagues. But what happened was, there isn't any more movies being made in LA. Film and television. I mean, there was just an article I was reading online where, somebody went back to visit CBS Radford, and it was basically like a ghost town. And then 10 years ago was thriving. All the best television shows on the air were all being shot there at the same time. You would see people from all those wonderful CBS shows kind of walking about, going to the commissary. It just doesn't exist anymore. They've made it very, very, almost impossible to shoot there. So, why not here?
Have you talked to your, we'll get into some of the details of it in a second, but have you talked to other actors about this idea, and what is their reaction?
They all want to come. They just want to know that it's going to be something that is long term. So they would actually come and move here. But of course, Jeremy Renner and I, and Jeremy, living up by Tahoe, we've talked about it quite a bit. So we have lots of people who want to come, and of course now Warner Bros. Throwing the hat in the ring. I've gotten many calls from people at Netflix and people at Disney and everybody else. So they're all excited about it. But what I am excited about and what I think is more appealing, look, the studios will save money, they'll make more money, they'll have more interesting places to shoot, it'll probably be more cost effective for them. What I want to share with my colleagues, again, is what I've benefited from by moving here full time and how much the quality of life has changed for me and for my family.
How do you like the tax structure here compared to California?
That was probably third or fourth on the list.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
I think the other big thing, and I'll share this with you guys openly, I couldn't even get wildfire insurance for my house, and that was a big issue because I had built that house with my life savings, and everything that we had and everything that we owned was in that home. And that was a big concern, especially for my advisors, too. So they were like, you got to go somewhere else. And even if I moved somewhere else in California. But because the 405, the fires had passed north of the 405, there were, very expensive homes along the way. So you couldn't get Lloyd's of London, Chubb's, nobody to insure your house. And so that was the kind of first thing that sparked the conversation between myself and my business manager and my advisors. And then, we kind of talked to my wife about that. But then once the kids started being exposed to certain stuff, which could happen anywhere, I completely understand that, but I just feel like life is so much faster there. My son, the idea of freedom for my son when we moved to Vegas was that he got to drive 2 street lights from the Summit to Bishop Gorman and back, and he thought he had all the freedom in the world. It's like it's much safer than he's on a bus, he's in Venice Beach, he's down in town, he's here, he's there. There's lots of things that they were exposed to that really concerned me, especially for my 2 little ones.
Yeah. You're kind of dancing around it, but safety of your kids is one of the reasons that you left, isn't it?
Oh, 110%. It's still, I was in California. I love California. I think it's a beautiful place. The weather's great. I have my, lots of friends there, restaurants. But I saw, I don't know, maybe 1,000 kind of 20-somethings riding on bikes surrounding cars, and I took my kids out of the hotel in their pajamas to go visit their old elementary school and see how little the playground was compared to how big they thought it was when they were living there, and it was pretty terrifying, And you don't see that happening here. Safety is a very, very big part of it. If I'm traveling and I have to go work elsewhere, I want to know that my family is going to be safe for sure.
Yeah, if someone like you feels that way, think about how average people are feeling, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Let me show everybody I'll read it, what you said about the potential for Vegas. You said the entire city, this is from the same Hollywood Reporter interview, the entire city and most of the state relies on tourism and gaming, so this would create another industry that will instantly create 10,000 new jobs, take the average salary from $65,000 to $165,000, probably create 10,000 new single-family homes instantly. And we want a 10-year tax credit. We'll get to that. We want to build a state-of-the-art studio. I've already shot 2 movies in Vegas, so I know the talent pool, you mentioned that earlier, that they're both in front of and behind the camera. They're very receptive. We've already got the plans approved. The last step is getting the tax approved. There's a special session with the legislature. Well, maybe not. So let's talk a little bit about. Those are some huge projections. Did you just make those numbers up? Where'd they come from?
Yeah, I saw that. I just figured, no, we those are real projections. Those are real numbers. Those jobs. are all going to be readily available to people. And I actually think the number now. This was probably about a year or so ago. I think the number could be higher now for the average salary.
You're a business guy. People probably know you've diversified your interests. You understand business really well. Make the case that this makes economic sense, not just for Mark Wahlberg or Sony or Warner Brothers, but why it makes sense for this city.
Well, the reason why I feel that it makes most sense is because the money is going to go back into the community. That's why you need people to come here to live here. My concern, with all due respect to Sony and the studios and everybody else, is not the studios. It's the people that are working day in and day out, or the people, more importantly, that are still in California, or they're chasing the tax credits to Louisiana or anywhere else, that aren't working. I mean, now with streaming, you have more shows and stuff being made, but people are still, they're always there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. People are always complaining about, all the cost of production's gone up and stuff like that. The money is going to go back into the community. They've done these little tests where, when you're shooting a movie in a small town, everybody's getting per diems, they're shopping, they're doing everything that they're doing in that community. So the money's going back into the community.
That's the argument. That's kind of the multiplier effect of doing this, and people will spend money, and so it'll help the economy. But there's been a lot, there's been a lot of controversy in other states about film tax credits. Georgia and New York have done studies where it hasn't worked out so well for the local economy. And so I know you and Jeremy Renner.
I think people continue to come in. I don't think people are staying there long term, which for me, again, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be here, that this was my permanent residence, and I was going to live here. And the benefits that I've got, just without even I've made 2 movies here, and I've just shot 2 movies in Australia, making another movie in Europe. I mean, I would do anything to make a movie anywhere in the United States versus being that far away from my family. But the quality of life and the change that I've experienced for the better since being here is astronomical. So for me, it's worth it to just wait. And if it doesn't happen, I mean, look, it's the same approach with my career. I'm going to do everything to make it happen because I am going to be the one continuing to encourage people to come here, that this is the best place to work. They're going to get the best results. And no matter what, I mean, I've only been successful because I'm willing to do the work. So that's my attitude towards it.
But you got to convince people, and by people I mean,
of course, yes. No.
In elective office, that this is a good thing for their constituents.
Yes, of course.
I mean, you and Jeremy Renner were up there the last session, and you couldn't get it done. Now, if Jeremy Renner and Mark Wahlberg can't get it done, how is this ever going to happen?
It takes time. I've always said it's not a matter of if; it's just a matter of when. Look, they said I couldn't get to 110 restaurants. Here we are. We finally got great leadership. We got the right people behind us. And you know what? Those corporate stores now are more and more successful, and we're figuring out exactly how to do it and do it the right way. But I think the film, television content, the desire for new content, great content, is never going to stop. And they are spending more and more money making it. And, why not have it spent here and put in the pockets in the community of the people in Las Vegas and Nevada as a whole?
Listen, I think anybody who hears a pitch, you build a big studio, whether it's in Summerlin or somewhere else, and Summerlin sounds good because it's close to where I live too, so that's convenient. But seriously, that sounds great. Who wouldn't want to have a Hollywood 2.0, Hollywood East? But why is the film tax credit so essential to this project, no matter who does it? Because the controversy about film tax credits is it takes money away from other services that might be needed, because it's tax money that's being essentially given away.
Yeah, but you're going to have that repeat business. You know what I mean? You're going to have people coming back constantly. This is not a one-off where you're going to go and give, whether it be Tesla or somebody, a big chunk of change to move their business here, and then they go off and they do their thing. You don't hear from them again. You're going to have repeat business all the time, and everybody else is going to follow suit. I mean, you could have every major studio here making pretty much most of their content, especially everything that they film in the U.S., because, with Georgia, most of the business is being run by Tyler Perry, who owns everything himself. He kind of controls that and owns that. So I think there's a real opportunity for repeat business long term that is going to be beneficial to everybody.
Sony is kind of your partner in this. Tell me why that's the right.
I don't work with or for Sony, but I really feel like they are still in the theatrical business. They have a business that is thriving. I have a relationship with them. And I think that their commitment to being here is a testament to what, and everybody else is going to follow suit. They were the first to throw their hat in the ring, but as you see now with Warner Brothers and everybody else, everybody's just kind of waiting to see what happens, But the thing for the studios, they're willing to pivot anywhere they have to go because they have a slate. They have to make these movies. They have a certain budget for that year. If they don't hit their numbers, these guys don't have their jobs anyway. And again, we are talking about encouraging people to come here and live here, not come here to get a salary and then leave and go home. I'm encouraging people to come and live here. That's my motivation, is to get people to take the opportunity to improve their quality of life and have a better life. Everybody who's moved with me, and my friends who lived in a 3-bedroom house with 5 kids, now have a 6-bedroom house, and they're paying half of what they were paying in Van Nuys, where they couldn't even let their kids out to play. Now they live in a gated community. They have safety. They go to these great schools. I mean, we're trying to encourage people to improve their entire level of quality of life, is to also bring their talent here, because the talent is the thing that the studios need and rely to make the most quality film and television.
So you're responsible for bringing all these Californians here?
No. Only the good ones. Only the good ones. No, but I really feel like this when I'm talking about it, and the reason why I came and the reason why I encourage people to come is that,
I mean, you're talking about something different than I think has happened, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, in Georgia and New York. You're talking about creating a permanent infrastructure and people who, after the movie is made,
I feel like here. Yes, and I feel like people will come. If you're willing to commit long term, people will come. I think, for me, I just made the move anyway. It was definitely out of necessity, again, for the better of my children. But I think people will definitely come. Now, will everybody come in anticipation of it happening? Not everybody, but I think if there's a real opportunity to have a real long-term tax credit, you're going to get people coming in droves.
So you mentioned, and this is the story of your career, you're relentless in everything that you've done. Does that mean that we are going to see you up in beautiful Carson City in the dead of winter again?
If I have to. Absolutely. I would like to. I really feel like, just intuitively, I feel like this is a no-brainer. So again, to go and explain I don't want to speak for the studios or anybody else. You know what I mean? I want to speak for a person who actually came here, lives here now almost 3 years. My life has drastically improved since I moved here, and I think having been in the business and known how to make quality movies and make sure that movies that are successful, that will continue to grow and help the studios be successful, we can bring the best of the best here.
So probably the only subject in the universe that I know more about than you is Nevada politics. And
I think you know a lot more than me. When I first moved here, obviously we were about to be, the election was happening with Sisolak and Lombardo. And I called a couple of friends that I know who are obviously much more familiar with the state of Nevada politics. And I got a quick little tutorial, but still learning, lots to learn. Again, for me, I'm an artist. I don't really get into politics,
Right, but you have to some extent to get
of course.
Done, right?
But when I was saying, when they're saying, "Hey, you need to go with me, we'll get this done," no. I mean, you look at this election that's happening now. I mean, you don't see me out there, even though people say, "Oh, I like this person" or "I like that person." I can't control what people say on the internet. But you
did take your MAGA hat off backstage, didn't you?
I don't
kidding.
Own one of those. I don't. I unfortunately, I think we are really hard pressed for a good choice, because nobody is really pushing people to come together and bridge the gap. They're pushing the divide and using that and the scare tactics, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah,
I don't know if you noticed, but I've got this thing about being positive and bringing people together, and I'm very optimistic about the future, and I want everybody to be successful. I'm not about condemning people. I want to see people be able to redeem themselves, and I feel like too many people are giving up on people or condemning people, and we gotta look in the mirror and, take a long, hard look at ourselves. And, for me, I've seen a lot of people who have had very difficult lives and have turned their lives around and gone to do great things. And so I want to see people live up to their full potential and do good.
That's actually, what you just described is the Mark Wahlberg story, right? You did turn your life around. You did accomplish probably more than you ever dreamt of when you were a teenager, right?
Yes, by far. But now the thing is, okay, but why was I chosen to be in this position? And that's to help other people who were in similar situations. And that is the goal now. It's okay to pursue that relationship with God every day and make sure that that's at the forefront of my life. And then more importantly, figure out what he's chosen for me to do and how to utilize the talents and the gifts and the platform and all that stuff, and to really make a difference and really make an impact.
So I brought up the Nevada politics part of it just because it seems like if there was one proposal and they're going before the legislature and they could look at it and you can make the case.
Very complicated. I know people have their own.
But there's competing proposals now.
Oh,
You got the Sony one, you got the Warner Brothers one, and they're not. I don't think they're going to approve both bills. And so you're just talking about this. You're a guy who bridges gaps. You're radiating positivity. I'm not used to this, by the way. I cover politics, but that's going to be an issue, right?
It is going to be an issue, but I think the only way to get it done is for people to say, okay, we're better off together and starting to work as one. So we'll see, but this is still all kind of new. We're just having this discussion now. So, but I would certainly be open to trying to bring people to the table. I work with Warner Brothers. I work with Sony. I work with Netflix. I work with Disney.
You're going to bring them all here?
I'm an independent contractor. Well, I think ultimately, that would be the goal. Yeah. I think that would be the goal. They all have, they all used to make movies right there in L.A., and people don't do it anymore. So why not here?
Have you talked to the governor at all about this?
Yes, on a number of occasions.
Tell me about it. Tell me about those conversations if you can.
Well, I will tell you that he was always very receptive to the idea. Very receptive. I think he understands that it is a good opportunity, but I think there's lots of people who just think, okay, well, here comes Hollywood, and we're just going to give them most of the money that could be going to many other things. I completely understand that, And again, I haven't really sat down to think about, okay, how can I talk them into thinking that this is the best thing? I know what we can create here, and again, the best way to kind of convince people, maybe that takes 2 years, maybe that takes 5 years. But what I said is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I think it would be a big miss if they didn't really take a real look at the opportunity and then try to at least have conversations with people and bring people together and bring people to the table so they can understand. And again, I think the big play is to have people coming to move here and live here full time. And I know everybody wants new residents. People want people to come, build homes, buy homes, invest in the community, create new business here. So,
you mentioned Jeremy Renner. I actually did an event with him about this up in Reno. He thinks the whole thing should be statewide. Have you talked to him about that at all?
I did. Look, I think that's also complicated. I think there's ways to carve out a portion of the tax credits or the money that's being allocated to that area. But it's very difficult. You have to have the facilities. You have to be able to house everybody who's coming, the crews that are coming from outside, to be able to have the equipment, the stages, the facilities. So that's complicated.
Have you been to Lake Tahoe?
Beautiful, yes.
Yeah, more movies should be shot at Lake Tahoe, don't you think?
Yeah, look. I think it's beautiful, but I think it's also, again, very specific aesthetically, the topography, everything, what I think Vegas can do is pretty much cover almost every spectrum, and then with the proper facilities, you can create all the other imagery that you need, having state-of-the-art green screens, AI, all that stuff.
You need to be in a big city, essentially, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you this, since not quite related, but the story that I read, I wonder if it's true. My other passion besides sports and politics is movies, and I heard that Ben Affleck had you in mind for the town, but you couldn't do it because you were doing The Fighter at the time, and that's how Renner got that role. Is that true?
Yeah, who told you that, Jeremy?
No, he didn't. I read that somewhere.
Oh, so no, what happened was I was originally going to play that part. Adrian Lyons was the director.
Right.
It was at Warner Brothers. It was a much bigger budget film. Ben Affleck came to my house with his then wife. I think she was there. Saw the script on my desk. Was looking at my house. It was for sale. I was moving into a house that I built. And then he goes, "Hey, I think I'm going to do this movie and direct it." I was like, "Really? Whoa, okay. And I want you to play this other part." And he had actually offered me Gone Baby Gone. Well, he didn't offer it.
That's his brother's.
His wife talked to me about it at the Golden Globes about doing Gone Baby Gone. But I was doing the other Boston movie, and The Fighter was my passion project, so I didn't want to go off and then do something different. But he did a phenomenal job, and Jeremy was amazing in that part.
Yeah, he was great in that movie. Yeah. I believe you, I'm not here to flatter you, but you were great in The Fighter. I think because Christian Bale had the more kind of sexier role, but I thought you were great in that movie. So that's a true story.
Yeah.
The real Boston guy in that role.
It would have been a little different probably, but yeah, he did a fantastic. He got nominated for an Oscar.
He did. He deserved it. Who were you gonna? I'm sorry to talk movies now, guys, but I'm gonna do it. Who were you gonna play in Gone Baby Gone?
The Casey Affleck
Yeah,
part.
Casey Affleck part.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
That's.
But again, we didn't really even go down the road with the conversation.
If you have not seen Gone Baby Gone, it's another great underrated movie, don't you think?
Ben Affleck's a really talented director and actor, writer, but really talented director. Especially, I would like to work with him at some point as a director or actor.
So how do you see this all playing out? You said it might not happen right away.
You're making me feel not too positive. I can tell you that.
I'm positive.
But other than that, we'll no, it's okay. I'm kidding.
I think you should just have come up with such a compelling script, like how a scrappy, independent, nonprofit news organization was able to survive in this day of terrible journalism. How does that sound for a script?
I like that.
Okay.
I think that sounds. What was the movie? Boston Globe movie.
Spotlight?
Yeah, we'll do our own version.
Yeah.
Who's going to play you?
You can play me if you want.
All right. Oh, look at that. I've been cast. Fantastic. Maybe we get Ben to direct it.
That'd be all right, too.
Yeah.
So, but if it's a long-term thing, I mean, does that mean that you think it's going to take several sessions of the legislature to get there? Is this a 5-year thing, 10-year thing?
I've been pretty optimistic based on people that I've spoken to, but it's obviously now with Warner Brothers coming into the fold, it's complicated. But I would love to sit down with my partners and people that I've been working with and figure out how we best strategize. And if we have to take a new approach, we got to take a new approach. But again, this is not throw it out there. If it works great, on to the next. I'm here. I'm ready to go. I've got to go now. A movie that I could have possibly shot a portion of it here. We're end up shooting now in London, and then going to Paris. But again, if I have to go, I go. I'm not. I don't want. It's not because it's just convenient to me. I really think that. As Vegas grows and thrives with sports and everything else, entertainment, it makes complete sense. It just has to be done the right way, and that's with the right people. And I think the commitment that we have from Sony, people like Warner Brothers coming to the table and figure out how we can all work together. And then once people see that it works, prove the model, and then hopefully continue to grow the credit, because the business will continue to come here and people will come here full time. As permanent residents.
I don't know anything. I know a little bit, but not nearly as much as you about this business. Can Warner Brothers and Sony play in the same sandbox? Can that happen?
I think for sure. Yeah.
Tell me how that would work.
Well, everybody's just got to play nice. No, I think. Look. They did it in California. Everybody had their own place. You want to share space, sound stages. I mean, you can expand more space. There's certainly plenty of land here. You could build more stages for more people, and then figure out how you allocate those funds. And I think if you set up a committee who decides where and how those funds are used, people that have the stories that are most compelling, but then you get into something too where you have people who may not be film people kind of talking about what films should and shouldn't get made, and that gets complicated. So.
Now you're getting me pessimistic. I was just starting to get optimistic. Now you're making me pessimistic.
We'll turn it around.
Yeah. One of the things that would seem to me that you need to do is to build coalitions I'm not talking about elected officials, but other people who have been in business here in Vegas who see this as something that will help them too? Have you been talking to people? I'm sure you've been here a couple of years now, and you've developed relationships.
When I started talking about this idea, every single person called and said they wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to invest. Now, I didn't want to go to Howard Hughes and say, hey, I got so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. They all want to come in. They all want to be a part of what we're doing. But they all have belief that this will be hugely successful.
Tell me a little bit about the conversations with Howard Hughes. We're having a panel tomorrow, by the way, with someone from Howard Hughes and someone from Sony to talk more about this. Tell me about the conversations with them.
Well, again, the response that they had right away, it was I was met with passion and enthusiasm. I mean, they right away they said this. They knew this is something that I wanted to do. I was already making one film in Vegas and planning on making another. And came up with a whole presentation and committed right away to spending whatever they needed to spend to create the facilities that would be state of the art, next better than anything that exists anywhere in the world, and so we made the introduction with Sony right away. People thought it was a no-brainer.
What about since you have such a diversified portfolio, any other ideas for businesses in Vegas with Mark Wahlberg's name?
Just opened a restaurant in Town Square. We're killing it. We got the whole PBR. They're having their team championships. So the losers of tonight's event at South Point. I went down there to South Point today. Just did a big presentation for the entire Professional Bull Riders League and did a bunch of content. We got everybody from South Point coming to our restaurant in Town Square after, and lots of plans. Fitness, health, wellness, longevity, lots of stuff happening.
No cold plunges, though. No.
Oh, you got to have the cold plunge.
No.
Will you tell him? Ask your wife to explain to him he needs to have a cold plunge.
So I don't want to keep you that much longer, but I have to ask you about the media since that's my business.
Sure.
You like the media, don't like the media? Tell the truth. Yeah, you don't. Tell me.
Don't know who to trust, what to think. I go from CNN to Fox to New York Times, to LA Times. No, listen, I think for me too, it's always been a complicated relationship, but it is what it is. It is what it is. No, I have many journalist friends that I respect and I admire, and then there's there's just everybody. There's so much out there. There's so much noise out there. I would like things to be a little bit more streamlined, but again, you're asking the wrong guy. I'm not.
Tell me the craziest thing that was not true that was ever written about you or said about you by the media.
Oh, I don't know, and I don't remember, but.
Have there been stuff out there about you that's just been totally fantasy? And
look, there's lots of stuff, but I think I would just again hoping that people will focus on the positive. We want there's so much negativity. It's like that's always the big headline. For everything, and for everybody. And I don't need a pat on the back. My reward hopefully will come. When my day comes, and it's not monetary. It's none of those things. For me, being a 53-year-old man, having lived a real life, having grown up where I relied on the YMCA or relied on the boys club to give me the one meal that I got that day. My parents were divorced. My dad was working, or my mom was working just to put food on the table for 11 kids when we did have meals together. Those things made me who I am and be successful because I was able to survive those things and overcome those obstacles that I faced. But, I think we need some more positivity in the world, and I talked about that with the election and everything else. For me, I've experienced a lot of love. A lot of wonderful people have come into my life who are very selfless people who have dedicated their lives to serving their country, their community, the church, and those people have had a profound effect on me. So I want to do some good. So I don't read a lot of things. Like I do social media, but I don't. And I hope people aren't upset if they make comments and they expect me to read it. I don't read the comments. I don't read the good reviews and I don't read the bad reviews.
You don't read reviews of your movies, really?
You know, you want to get your feelings hurt? Read reviews.
Yeah.
You know, people don't really want to say nice things about people. You know, if I'm making a movie about somebody who had a tragic incident in their life and, you know, people are nitpicking about something else, we're trying to tell a story about somebody, an ordinary person who did something extraordinary, and we want, you know, people to appreciate that and be inspired by that. We're trying to inspire people. We're trying to encourage people that no matter where you come from, where you started, there isn't anything you can't accomplish if you're willing to do the work, you know? So I don't have time for any of the negative shit. I just don't. You know, it doesn't fuel me. It doesn't make me feel good or better or, you know, it doesn't make me bitter either, but it's just, I just don't have time for it, you know? I mean, I got a busy day. I'm actually really doing what I say I'm doing. My daughter's like, Dad, they really want to know when you go to do a Hallow video, do you go to church? I got to go to church. I need church in my life. I need God in my life every day because it allows me to stay on the path that I need to be on, to be successful as a person, as a father, to be a great husband. And you know, my wife and I mean, the things that we realize, it's the shit that we go through and that keeps us, that we stay together through these difficult things that makes our marriage so great. We got each other's back. You know, we're like, we are raising our kids. You know, we don't worry about what other people think. You know, we don't spend a lot of time with other people because, you know, we spend our time together, and you know, it's like those are, I don't know, that's just how I live my life.
Are you able to just tune it all out then, like the negativity in the media, the negativity in politics, so you just like feel like you're like not even paying attention, you're in
It's
a
not
bubble?
that I'm not paying attention. I'm aware of what's going on, but I certainly with everything else that's going on right now, like with the election and stuff. I mean, it's frustrating. You know, I don't. Again, I've always kind of made it a rule to not talk about politics publicly. If you and I had a conversation, I could tell you many reasons why I have issues with both, and you know what I would like to see in 2024 for our great country. But we don't have that option right now. You know, and that's very discouraging to me. And, you know, again, I would rather, you know, talk about things that are positive and how we can, you know, make a difference, even if it's just in a very small way.
I think it's obvious to people here. It's obvious to me, and I've dealt with covering politics, a lot of insincere people, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
But you seem sincerely committed to this positivity. It seems real to me.
Oh, it's real.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm a Gemini. I might get, you know, a little crazy about it, but no. Listen. I come from the real world. I have real life experience. I don't have. I went back to high school to get my diploma at 42.
Yeah, I know that.
You know, because my kids were going to say, Dad, well, we didn't go to school. Why? You know, you didn't go to school. Why should we? You know, but anything that I didn't understand, I would go and seek that information. You know, I've always been one who's been kind of learning on the job and seeking out this information. But that real life experience has been so invaluable to everything that I do. You know, and both personally and professionally. And that's something that you can't learn, you know. Those hardships are something that you can't read about and really truly understand, you know. So I just take with what I have and do my best.
Your kids ever say to you, God, Dad, you're too positive. Why are you always so positive?
They like it now because, Dad, I used to think that I had to. I heard this wonderful, actually, a rabbi talking about, would you rather your kids fear you or, you know, come to you if they had a problem? And of course, I want my kids to be able to talk to me about anything. So I try to be like my dad and, you know, be very strict and stern. And now I want them to be able to come to me about anything and share whatever's going on in their lives.
That's great.
It's too important.
I know.
And I want them to be proud that they could be with me and hang out with me and spend time with me. And I don't want them to just say, okay, Dad did his job. He took care of us, got us an education, everything. And now, you know, we want to go off and see him as little as possible. Hopefully we'll be spending lots of time together.
You ever think that maybe one way to bring more positivity into the media and political world is you could run for office?
That's not happening. That's not happening.
Not happening?
No.
Ever? Never even
No.
occurred to you, huh?
No.
Anyone ever say you should run for something?
Yes. Yeah. So run for the door. Gotta run for the door. Get home to my wife and my kids. But I will definitely do everything that I can, and I want to utilize the position that I'm in to get as much accomplished for people, especially people that are less fortunate. If they don't have those opportunities, then and they don't have an example, you can show them that it is capable despite the obstacles that they face, then that it makes it very difficult for people to even take a chance, take a risk, bet on a dream, pursue something that they're passionate about versus something that's safe.
Have you ever gotten involved in like campaign contributions, anything like that in the past? Do you give to candidates?
No, because that would then be a declaration of who I'm supporting.
Yeah. So you're not going to do that to help get this thing passed? I've heard that if you give politicians money, sometimes they do what you want.
I'll give them all the free Wahlburgers they want.
Free Wahlberg?
No,
That's good.
I think honestly, the gift is bringing people here, bringing that business here. I do think it will drastically improve the economy and many people's lives in the community, for sure.
You're going to help us get an NBA team here?
That would be nice. I was asked about that too. I said I would love to be a part of that, and I threw in my support and said I would cut a big check. And
you're going to invest in it?
I said I would love to. Now again, can you get those guys to all come together? Can you do that?
Yeah,
right. Two groups, as you know, they don't like each other.
You could just buy a team, couldn't you?
No. No, but I would like to. I did have an opportunity, going back to talking about Boston. I had an opportunity to buy a minority stake in the Celtics years ago. But then I was told by lots of friends, all you're going to do is get capital calls, and it's going to be a nightmare. It's a big vanity play. But obviously the valuation of the team has grown quite a bit.
Yeah,
so
yeah, thanks.
What are you going to do?
You talked to your buddy Brady about buying into the Raiders?
Very happy for him. Very happy for him. We have some friends that own some other organizations across the league, so you never know, we might get involved somewhere. But hopefully, listen, they were talking about him, trying to lure Bill Belichick to come here and coach. I think that would be pretty incredible. You already have a Raiders fan in me. I think I went to I went to the Aces' first game in the finals. I'm a diehard Ace fan now. I was very upset when they lost to Liberty.
I think we need a quarterback in here for the Raiders more than we need a new coach.
Well,
maybe Brady can come out of
retirement. You need a 53-year-old rookie walk-on?
There you go.
Vince Papale.
Invincible, right?
Exactly. I got the hair. It just comes right out of the helmet.
All right, speaking of that, we're going to close this way, if you don't mind, Mark. I'm going to ask this audience some Mark Wahlberg movie trivia and see how good they are, all right? You ready?
Cool.
Just 5 questions, and you can tell them if they're right or not. Yell out the answers if you know, all right? Name 2 movies that Mark starred in with John C. Reilly.
Oh.
That's 1.
I wasn't in Step Brothers. No.
What's the second one? Nobody knows?
Yeah, somebody just said it.
That?
The fishing movie.
Yeah, fishing movie is right.
Yeah.
That's
Perfect
not what it's
Storm.
called. Yeah, Perfect Storm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Name a movie that Mark starred in that was a remake of a Michael Caine movie. That's it, The Italian Job. Well done. Now, this I think may be the toughest one. It's even possible you might not know the answer to this one. Yeah. In what movie is apartment 711 pivotal at the end of the movie? Do you know that one? See? I stumped him on this. What is it? He knows. That's the number of Matt Damon's apartment that you're waiting in. 711. Pretty good, huh? What's that?
You must be the other guy.
In what movie Mark starred in did the scenes have to be reshot and the guy who was inserted in was nominated for an Oscar? You know that one?
No.
Nope.
All the Money in the World.
All the Money in the World. See, that's correct. All right.
Christopher Plummer.
Yeah. In what movie is Mark in that also has the late, great Ned Beatty? Shooter, very well done, excellent. Shooter, very underrated. Shooter's one of those movies that comes on, and it didn't get great reviews, but whenever it comes on, I watch the whole thing. I don't know why. I enjoy it.
So just to give you a little glimpse of what's happening in the future, now David Ellison now is close to closing this deal to acquire Paramount, CBS. David Ellison, has produced You good?
Whoops, yeah, that was clumsy. Go on.
David Ellison has also, with Skydance, we did Family Plan. We're doing Family Plan 2. We plan to hopefully then go back, do Shooter 2. Would love to shoot that here.
Shooter 2?
In Nevada.
All
We
right.
can shoot that in Reno. We can shoot that in Tahoe. We can shoot it here. We can kill the next great corrupt senator like we did with Ned Beatty.
That's
We
right.
can,
That's right, yeah.
We, with Italian Job, the sequel to Italian Job here, the Vegas Job would be incredible. I mean, the stars are aligning. We will figure out how to make people understand. But of course, people still have their own agenda, and I don't think some people are going to change, right? Because now you're talking about dealing with politicians and dealing with the media, which is not
Both terrible.
Not my favorite, but what I want, I just want. Listen, I get it. If it doesn't happen, I think it would be a miss for the state of Nevada. That's just my personal opinion. I go to work wherever I gotta go to work. Just like if I make a couple bombs, I ain't gonna be they ain't gonna hire me anyway. I'm gonna be. I could always go back and drive a truck. I got a great relationship with the Teamsters. My dad was a Teamster. I take pride in providing for my family and whatever I got to do. So I'm gonna go to work regardless. But I really feel like there's something special to be done here.
I don't want to give you it's great. There's, Elon Musk is building these tunnels here.
Yes.
Boring company.
Yeah, I've seen the cars going
and so
around. You go to the Fontainebleau, you see
thinking
them.
Italian Job too. You get those cars again, and they speed along, and then they go into those tunnels.
Now you can finally know what's going on down
Yeah,
there.
exactly. It's great. Anyhow, Mark Wahlberg, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
I like the trip. That was fun. Yeah, thanks for coming.